Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to welcome you all here on today of the SCHRAPEL family. My name is Reverend Sheridan Brand, and it is my privilege to be officiating this service today. Just a couple of things. If you have not done so already, could you please turn your mobile phones off or at least onto silent? And for those of you who have children with you today, if they get a bit rowdy, a bit restless, please stay, because I have a really loud voice and it can always get louder. Family and friends, you are all here today because Geoff has been a significant person in your life. Thank you for taking the time to be with the family. It means more than you can know. We gather with heavy hearts, but also with a deep sense of love and gratitude for Geoff. His life was taken too soon and unexpected, and we do not understand why a life which meant so much can end this way and so soon. Why someone like Geoff was taken when there is so much more to do and so much more to experience. So many unanswered questions, and so much that does not make any sense. But this was a life filled with infectious laughter, giving kindness, a passion, and unconditional love. We remember his love for a good barbie and also a good party, a man who could talk to people of all ages and who loved a good joke. Geoff loved his boat and fishing, especially when the kids were with him. He was a country boy through and through. He was hard-working, a straight shooter. Geoff was a strong, tall man with big hands and big feet. He was Susan's protector, a man with a big heart. Geoff loved his girls and their growing family. They were the apple of his eye. We will cherish the moments that we have shared, and they will live on in our hearts forever. When we lose someone we love, it is one of the most heartbreaking and difficult events that we face in life. We gather to share the pain and to share the hurt, to share our tears and our sorrows, to stand beside each other in silence and not be uncomfortable with our tears or our grief. There is sacredness in grief and tears. They are not the mark of weakness, but of unspeakable love. Geoff has touched each life here in some way. A dearly loved son, an adored brother and uncle, loving husband of Susan, adored dad of Fiona and David, Amy and Jason, cherished pa of Ellie and Sadie, Brodie and Mason, a great friend and a mate to many. I believe that Geoff would not want your hearts to be overcome with grief and sadness. Instead, he would want you to fill the empty space left by his passing with the presence of his love. The definition of a meaningful life has nothing to do with the way that we look or whether we are rich, and certainly if we are perfect or not. It's about being real and being able to share ourselves and enrich the lives of others. It is to give and receive love unconditionally with no boundaries. And Geoff certainly lived his life in this way. I would like to invite Ellie and Brodie, a couple of Geoff's grandchildren, to come forward, and they're going to read a poem that has been written by the family. Now this is pretty tall, kids, so would it be easier if I take this out and hold it for you? Have you got it written there, what you want to say? And maybe if we just stand here, because then people will be able to see you. Okay? There you go. You got it, Ellie?
Go for it.
He traded the noise for the gentle breeze and found his peace among the trees. With hands that knew the soil and seed, he tended flowers and pulled each weed. He understood that patience is an art, growing things with all his heart. Then down where the quiet water flows, he'd cast his line as the morning rose. Patiently waiting to catch a keeper, his love for the river couldn't get any deeper.
Whether digging in the dirt or waiting for a bite, he made the world feel warm and bright. But more than the garden, more than the stream, his family was his ultimate dream. He planted roots so deep and strong, a place where his loved ones could belong. Though he sailed ahead to a peaceful shore, he lives in our hearts evermore.
Thank you, kids.
Thank you so much, Ellie and Brodie. What a lovely poem. It is my privilege to read the eulogy on behalf of the family for you. Today we gather to celebrate the life of Geoffrey John SCHRAPEL, a devoted husband, a loving father, proud grandfather, loyal friend, and a genuinely kind man who lived a life of hard work, family and community. Geoffrey was born on the 22nd of November 1955 in Frankston, Victoria, to Donald and Daphne SCHRAPEL. He grew up alongside his brother Trevor and his sisters Kerry and Leonie. Although born in Victoria, Geoffrey's heart belonged to Australia Plains in South Australia, where he spent his childhood and made friendships that lasted a lifetime. He was a true country boy. He loved playing football, fishing, camping and hunting, and those early years shaped the down-to-earth, hard-working man that so many of us knew and loved. Geoffrey began his working life with the railways, and it was there that fate introduced him to the love of his life, Susan. After dating for 2 years, they married and moved into what would become their family home in Ingle Farm. Together, Geoff and Susan built a wonderful life and raised 2 daughters, Fiona and Amy, who were his pride and joy. Geoffrey left the railways to become a gardener. Through hard work, determination and confidence in his abilities, he eventually started his own gardening business. It suited him perfectly. He loved working outdoors, took pride in doing a job well, and enjoyed helping people create beautiful gardens. Weekends were always about his family. Whether he was cheering on Fiona and Amy at their sporting events or making the trip back to Australia Plains to help his dad with the family beekeeping business, Geoffrey was always there when he was needed. Family wasn't just important to him, it was the centre of everything he did. Another place that held a special place in his heart was up the river. Some of his best memories were made there. Fishing, camping, sitting around the campfire, sharing stories and laughs, and a cold drink with family and friends. Geoff loved every minute of it. It wasn't about catching the most fish. It was about spending time together. Those weekends created memories that we'll all treasure forever. At the age of 50, Geoffrey began another chapter of his working life when he accepted the role of grounds coordinator at the Adelaide Showgrounds, bringing the same dedication, reliability and pride to the role that he had brought to every job throughout his life. He remained there until he retired. However, retirement didn't mean slowing down. After nearly 4 decades in Ingle Farm, Geoff and Susan built their dream home in Wallaroo. It was a dream that they had worked incredibly hard for, and Geoff absolutely loved living there, immersing himself in the local community. He spent countless hours in the garden, volunteered at the golf club, enjoyed walking hand in hand with Susan along the jetty, playing bingo, watching the local footy, and was always busy planning the next holiday. He and Susan were fortunate enough to explore many parts of Australia and travel overseas to experience new places, new cultures, and new adventures together. He was always looking forward to the next trip, the next destination, and the next memory waiting to be made. He never stopped looking forward to what came next. Geoffrey treasured the time he spent with family, especially his grandchildren. Becoming a grandfather brought him immense joy. Whether sharing stories, kicking the footy, letting them water the garden, countless playground adventures, or simply enjoying being together, these moments meant the world to him. Although today is incredibly difficult, Geoff wouldn't want us to remember him only with sadness. He'd want us to remember the laughs around the campfire, the fishing stories, the family holidays, the backyard he'd spent hours perfecting, and all the little moments that, together, made for a truly wonderful life. And I'm also going to read some reflections from Susan. To my darling Geoff, where do I start? We have had a wonderful married life together over the last 43 years. We raised our daughters, Fiona and Amy, watched them grow, get married, and have 4 beautiful grandchildren who you adored. We have had lots of holidays together, overseas holidays to Bali, Canada, America, China, Vietnam, Singapore, Thailand, cruises and trips within Australia, but out of all of these destinations, your favourite place was still God's country, the river. And where catching halib and sitting around the campfire was peaceful tranquility. 4.5 years ago, we built our dream home here in Wallaroo, and you slotted into life here perfectly. You lived your life to the fullest, starting your day with a morning coffee under the veranda, watching the birds nesting in the trees. You were so proud of your garden and veggie patch, and I would often catch you simply watching the grass grow. There was never a weed in sight. I am no green thumb, but I will try my best to keep it looking lovely for you. You have such a big network of friends, workmates and other people you have gotten to know over these 70 years of life. And no doubt they will be feeling your loss as much as me. You are a beautiful man, husband, father, pa, uncle and friend to so many. You were my rock, my world, and I'll miss holding your hand as we stroll along the beach and the jetty. I'll miss going to the movies with you, playing bingo, and your hugs. You will always be in my heart, never forgotten. Rest in peace, my darling. I would like to invite Fiona and Amy to come forward, and the girls are going to share some more reflections with you all.
Growing up, I genuinely thought all dads were like mine. It wasn't until I was older that I realised just how wrong I was. My dad was truly amazing. He was the calm, rational one, the peacemaker of our home, and God knows, living in a house full of women, we needed it. He was endlessly supportive and rarely said no, except for that time I went through a phase of desperately wanting a pet ferret. That was apparently where he drew the line. Dad worked incredibly hard, but he always made time for what mattered most. He never missed a netball or softball game, and he'd spend hours taking Amy and I to the park to practice. I can still hear him saying, "Keep your eyes on the ball," over and over again. He was there for every important milestone in our lives. He also made sure we had countless family holidays, even though Amy and I spent most of the car ride fighting in the back seat. More than once, he'd threatened to turn the car around and go home if we didn't settle down. Somehow, we always made it to our destination. One of my favourite childhood memories is waiting for Dad's work ute to pull into the driveway. Amy and I would race outside, so excited to see him. We'd throw our arms around him, take one big sniff, then immediately tell him how much he stank. He'd just laugh and say, "That's the smell of money." Dad was also our protector. He was the one who rescued us from every spider in the house, although he'd usually chase us around pretending to throw it at us. Thanks for the spider phobia, Dad. He never took life too seriously. He had this incredible ability to find the good in any situation and make people laugh, even when things were tough. He was so much fun to be around. He was everyone's mate and rarely had a bad word to say about anyone. In fact, whenever I'd use the word hate, he'd quickly remind me, hate is a very strong word. Dad gave us a childhood every child deserves. It was filled with laughter, encouragement, unconditional support, and the freedom to simply be ourselves in a home where we always felt safe and loved. As we grew into adults, he somehow knew exactly when to step back and let us find our own way while always being there if we needed him. He celebrated our achievements, helped us through hard times, and welcomed our partners into the family with open arms. When we had kids of our own, Dad became the most incredible pa. He once told me that being a grandparent was like a second chance at being a dad, except you have more time to appreciate them as you don't have the stress of supporting a family. He adored his grandchildren and they adored him right back. Despite all his wonderful qualities, Dad wasn't perfect. After all, he was a Crow supporter. I'll miss our banter, especially during showdowns when he would never miss the opportunity to remind me when his team was winning. Although my heart is broken, I know how incredibly lucky I am to call you my dad. Thank you for every lesson you taught me, every time you showed up, every holiday, every hug, every joke, and every time you believed in me. I will forever cherish the moments we made together, the values you passed on, the kindness you showed everyone you met, and your remarkable ability to make people laugh. I wish we had more time. You'll forever be part of who I am. I love you, Dad.
This speech has taken me weeks to write because I don't know how to put into words what the greatest father on earth meant to me. How do I possibly say goodbye to the first man I ever loved? As I sat down to write this, I realised there are simply too many memories to fit into just a few minutes. Looking around this room today, I realised something else. While I knew Dad as my dad, every one of you knew him in your own way. To some, he was a husband, brother, uncle, cousin, mate, neighbour, fishing buddy, travel companion or workmate. Seeing so many people here today says more about the kind of man he was than I ever could. Every one of you has your own story, your own memory and your own reason for loving him. One of the hardest parts about losing Dad has been realising that the world keeps turning, even though ours feels like it has stopped. But looking around this room reminds me that Dad's life truly mattered. He made a difference. He left his mark on so many people, and that's something no one can ever take away. Our family is so grateful that you're here today to celebrate his life with us. As a kid, I remember seeing Dad pull into the driveway after being away fishing all weekend. I'd run outside and give him the biggest hug, even though he hadn't showered for days, then help him unpack the car. I didn't care what he smelt like. I was just so excited that he was home. I also remember all the drives home from one of our many social gatherings, especially at Uncle Trevor and Auntie George's. Dad would be sitting in the back between us girls after a few too many drinks, stirring everyone up, especially Mum. He'd give her wet willies from the back seat and let us egg him on to do stupid things, while Mum got annoyed with him as she tried to drive. He was such a shit stirrer, but that's exactly what made him so much fun to be around. One of my favourites is the year Mum was in Queensland and I begged Dad to come to bingo with me. I think I created a monster because he became completely addicted after that. We'd make up ridiculous nicknames for people and they'd become our own little inside jokes that only the two of us understood. More recently, Dad would come along to some of our markets and pretend to be a customer. He'd start asking questions and making comments and I'd quietly whisper, "Shut up, you're staring the customers." He thought it was hilarious. Dad was also one of my biggest supporters when I started my business. He'd often tell me how proud he was of what I'd built, and hearing those words from him meant more than he'll ever know. He'd come over and help in any way he could, whether it was putting stickers on containers, always crooked I might add, helping me choose new packaging, or simply sitting there keeping me company while I worked. Of course, he couldn't resist stirring me up. He'd joke that he was memorising all my ingredients and measurements so he could go and start off his new business. Looking back now, those moments weren't really about the stickers or the packaging. They were his way of showing up for me. He made me feel so supported, so believed in, and so loved, and I'll be forever grateful for that. Watching him become a grandpa was one of the greatest joys of my life. He was never too busy for them, always up for a laugh, and somehow managed to make even the simplest moments special. They'll grow up with so many wonderful memories of their pa, and for that I'll always be grateful. Over the past 5 years, we encouraged Dad to buy a caravan and start travelling, to finally enjoy the retirement he'd worked so hard for. While he didn't quite get to fulfil his dream of travelling all around Australia, I'm so grateful he made the most of the time he had. He got to enjoy so many trips around Australia and overseas with some of his closest friends, and I know those adventures meant the world to him. One thing I'll miss most is the way we took the piss out of each other. Dad always comment on my ripped jeans, and I'd laugh at him for wearing socks with sandals. That was us. He never missed an opportunity to give each other a hard time. There are simply too many memories to share because every moment spent with Dad was a moment worth remembering. He was the most caring, loyal, generous and witty person I've ever known. He was the kind of person who would drop everything to help someone else, never expecting anything in return. He loved deeply, laughed often, and made the people around him feel safe. He really did make me feel like I was always one of Daddy's little princesses. Mum, Fiona and myself were his girls and his entire world. The way he cared for us, cherished us and provided for us did not go unnoticed. I realised just how lucky we were to have him. Dad, it still doesn't feel real that I'll never hear your voice again, laugh with you again or get one of your giant hugs. But I know a love like Dad's doesn't disappear. It lives on in the stories we'll keep telling, in the lessons he taught us without even realising it, and in every time we find ourselves laughing at something that reminds us of him. I hope I can be even half the parent to my boys that you were to me. Dad, thank you for every hug, every laugh, every piece of advice, every joke and every memory. I am who I am today because you loved me. I love you, Sasha.
Thank you, Fiona and Amy, for those beautiful words. I would like to invite Roy to come forward, and this is one of Jeff's mates who would like to share some memories with you.
It's a hard act to follow. Yep, thank you. Hello, my name's Roy Danish, and I was originally born and bred in Uganda, which is on the outskirts of Australia Plains. I'm not happy about being here, and I didn't want to see you people again so soon, but especially in these circumstances. Jeff, I was here 8 months ago celebrating your 70th birthday in November, just down the road, having a meal with you and Sue and family, and a few more misfits in May this year, but unfortunately not. I'm glad that they're recording this because we need to have a hard copy, basically just for the family, because later on when I go through a few things that have happened, the children will know why it is what it is. I've still got the birthday card. Tell me, Sue, why I've still got his birthday card.
No refunds.
Well, no, Jeff's explained that. He said, the joke was, Hutchie said at his birthday, he said, you bring your birthday card and Jeff will give you a refund on your travel. I live in Darwin. So that didn't happen. Jeff said to me, he said, sorry, he said, your refund's gone on the bar, so that'll do. Yeah, but it's being recorded. I might sell a few copies later to try and get some money back. There we go. Jeff and I go back 60 odd years. Jeff lived in Australia Plains with his parents Don and Daff and siblings Trev, Kerry and Leonie. He had a normal upbringing, attending the Udunda area school. He'd get on the school bus at Australia Plains in the morning with his brother Trev and his neighbourhood friends Hinsey and Des Pfeiffer from up the road. Fife would ride his bike from home because it was a bit far away to a pick-up point at Australia Plains and leave his bike in a small yard which is enclosed by a swing gate. After they arrived back from school, Fife would open the gate, ride his bike through, except on one day to his surprise, Trev and Jeff were holding the gate open. So Fife got on his bike, rode through the gate, halfway through the gate got closed. Fife cartwheeled over the handlebars, cartwheeled over the gate and ended up on the ground. Before the dust had settled, all you could hear across the vast Australia Plains, you two get home now. It was Jeff's dad, Don, who witnessed the whole thing. Being the gentleman he was, Don came over, picked up Des, dusted him off, put his bike and him in the ute, took him home to explain to his parents what happened. Next morning, SCHRAPEL boys were there again at the bus stop, sheepishly, and personally apologised to Des. Thing a bit of rough justice was dealt out overnight. Someone asked Don one day how come he'd bred two strapping lads, and Don, being the local beekeeper, as we've heard, brought them up on lots of honey biscuits, and in a good year he put an almond on top. They turned into fine footballers, as we know, and played in memory premierships. I lived in Udunda opposite a small dairy farm, and Jeff had the opportunity to come and work on it when the husband was away in shearing sheds. Also saved his mum and dad having to feed him because he had an appetite. Jeff would be there most weeks and sometime on weekends. He'd fetch the cows in the morning after school and assist with the hand milking. Odd jobs, yeah, the old manual milking of cows. He's pulled a few teats in his life. He had a bike because he had to deliver the unhomogenised, unpasteurised, warm milk in tin bellies around to a small band of customers in Udunda, including the hospital. How would you do that today? We would play whatever sport was in season after school and whatever, and one of his favourites was teasing my sister Kay. One Sunday after, we were riding around Udunda looking for things to do, and we came across a pony in a holding yard in the railway yards. Jeff, being the oldest and biggest, suggested that we ride it. Little did he know that it wasn't broken, and it wasn't broken in, and as we know, and he explained last year at his birthday, it bucked him off and he landed on the railing. And I still remember to this day pulling his pants down and his leg came with it. There's a bit of a sewing machine there to put his leg back together, but that's it. Fortunately, a passing motorist took him up to the hospital. Jeff continued through the education system and left school and was able to find local employment in the railway station, and we both had local employment. And our next step in the education system was attending the very fine senior educational establishments, the Light Hotel, Top Pub, Suddies, Mount Mary, Pointy Pub, Robbie Pub, Marrable Hotel. What fine educational institutions they were, and some still are. One night during evening classes, we were fortunate to win a chook raffle, and just being out of school thought cooking lessons would be a good idea. So we travelled out to Nev Schutz's place to cook this fine de-feathered specimen. Putting in the oven would take too long, and we only had half a dozen long necks. So we decided to grill it. and proceeded to disembowel it and place it in the griller. How hard could it be to cook a chook? We agreed when the skin was crisp, the rest would be cooked also. A couple more long necks and the skin was crisp. We bit into it like it was our last meal, just as Nev's mum Joan turned the light on to see what was going on. And yes, Geoff had a mouthful of chicken and the blood was running down his arms and dripping off his elbows. We gathered our long necks and departed pretty quickly. We were still hungry. As we progressed through the evening classes, New Year's Eve dawned large every year. Time with a bit of harmless fun and frivolity was allowed, a bit like school holidays. You know, car tyre over the street sign or over the light pole, road closed signs in the main street, toilet paper wrapped around phone booths, harmless stuff. I hope his grandchildren aren't listening. We were looking to go bigger, and we found a donkey in a vacant yard in Udunda, and it would look very good dressed up as zebra. And as this is an educational thing, we could have introduced a new species, but it wasn't the. Look, we thought to make it a zebra, all we had to do was find some white paint and paint it, which we did. Unfortunately, what we painted, well, before I get there, I had the noise again. There was me, Geoff, a fella called Lenny Till, and there's one other who we didn't work out who or what. Who?
Bill Schultz was there too.
Well,
Don't blame it all on me.
no, mate, well, unfortunately, Geoff's not here, Lenny's not here, and Phil's not here, so I'm the only one left. So the secret's safe with me. Now, as the sun rose that day and the donkey was in the sud, we found out that what was on there was lime, and it caused a bit of discomfort to the donkey. The thing it blistered the skin. Well, the owner scoured every educational institution in Udunda to find the culprits, but to no avail, although half the town knew who it was. The donkey survived. We continued our education, and Geoff moved to Adelaide and found a soulmate for life in Sue, while working the railways. I took a local girl and went to Darwin, but not before. Geoff was the best man at my wedding, and Kerry was a bridesmaid. What a wonderful family. Geoff and Sue came to visit in the early days. Geoff thoroughly enjoyed himself, hunting and gathering, as we know and we've heard, lots of fishing. Sue did not enjoy it that much because she was suffering from jet lag. You know, Adelaide to Darwin, same time zone, 3 hours. Jet lag. Do you know what it was? Sue, did you work out what it was? It was morning sickness. yeah, morning sickness. Yeah, couldn't disguise it as jet lag. Yes, Sue didn't come back after that. And I couldn't encourage Geoff to come back regular either, but we always used to catch him and do. And as we mentioned, Geoff, in addition to being a son, a husband, a brother, father, pa, in every definition of the word, he was a mate to everybody. So I looked up the definition on the internet, you know, AI, Google, ChatGPT, anything else you can find. And the definition, to have sex and produce young. That's it. Well, we know about that, but I was looking for something a little bit more what I was after. So I went to my paper copy of the Oxford Dictionary, and it gives a friend, a colleague, confidant, companion, things closer to the values Geoff lived up to. And you can also throw in a legend and a character. Unfortunately, at this moment, I suspect there will be a gathering somewhere of misfits from our era, where we all grew up together. Trevor, Miles, Phil, Louis, Hutchie's wife Jo, my sister Kay, Geoff, you can tease her, and my wife Helen, and Hinsey. And I reckon Hinsey, just about now, will be saying I'll have another one. So, SCHRAPEL, rest in peace, Geoffrey.
Thank you, Roy. Wonderful stories. I'd also like to invite another one of Geoff's mates to come forward and share some stories and reflections, if Peter could please come forward.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Peter Schultz, or otherwise known as Worm. It's good to see so many people here today to see Geoff's passing. I've known Geoff for probably on 50 years, and they were 50 good years, and should have been another 10 or 20, but we can't have that. One of Geoff's passions was football. He also loved shooting, fishing, and anything to do with the outdoors. One of his best fishing stories, well, there was many, but me and my brother Legs used to go quite often up to God's country with Geoff. Geoff had a little 12-foot boat, little aluminium tinny. There was Geoff by the motor, steering, driving, me in the middle in a deck chair, and my brother Geoff up the front. Now, SCHRAPEL was 6'5", Legs to be 6'5", both well over 100 kilos, and me in the middle in a deck chair. Only 6'3", but probably a little more than 100 kilos. Anyway, we'd go off and we'd go fishing in the morning, and Geoff would be steering, and he'd come into a snag, and he'd always catch the most fish. And we've worked it out, because he was steering, he always put the boat in the right spot so he could catch the most fish. But I think he would have caught the most anyway, because he was a great fisherman. We always used to have a man of the match, and even if Geoff didn't win it, because we rigged it, it didn't matter, because we split them all up evenly anyway. Yeah, we went shooting up in New South Wales, bit of pig shooting. That was great times. We did some fishing in the Darling. Yeah, great times up there with some great people. Another one of his great passions was Broken Hill. Now, there's probably half a dozen of us that go up to Broken Hill every year for probably 30, 35 years to St Paddy's race meeting. We'd get up there. We usually would leave Udunda about 4 in the morning after staying in the pub all night. We'd get someone that we washed out and went to bed early, about 12 or 1, get him to drive, and we'd have a few beers while we were going up there, of course, and get to Broken Hill, go down the pub, and the Working Man's Club used to have a little pie warmer. And I'm not sure who's got the record. Geoff, I think, had 15 little pies and pasties, and I reckon Trev had 16 or 17, so he knocked him off. Now, when we go out to the races, win, lose or draw, we have a few beers, a laugh and a good time. Then we'd walk over the hill to the golf club, wait for the crowd to disperse and have a few more beers over at the golf club. Now, there was 4 of us waiting for a cab. And as you can imagine, you got the driver, someone in the front seat and 3 in the back seat. Well, the poor bloke in the back seat in the middle always had to pay, because the bloke in the front would hop out, the 2 on either side would hop out, and he'd be stuck in the middle and he'd have to pay. So we've had a few drinks at the golf club, and we're walking down the stairs, and I think Geoff and I got the same idea at the same time, and we're off. Racing down the stairs. Now, I got there just before Geoff. He gave me a hip and shoulder. Bang! Into the taxi. Well, I rocked and rolled a little bit. He hopped in the front. I got in the back, locked the door. And I don't know who got in the middle, but I wasn't paying, so I didn't care. Yeah, there's so many stories that come out of the hill. Over 30 odd years, we had a great time, and there were a great mob of guys that went up there. But what happens in the hill stays in the hill, so that's for us to talk about later on, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of other tales told after the funeral's finished. Geoffrey, as we all know, and we've all seen him, he was definitely the life of the party. Wherever he went, there would be laughter and good times, and Geoff was just in the centre of it. He never once had a bad time. Now, I've known Geoff for nearly 50 years, and in that time, I never heard a bad word said about him. He's always had a good word about others and others about him. He was a great man, and he was a very good friend to me and to my brothers and family and to everyone here in the room. I can see there's people here from Darwin, from Victoria, from Western Australia, from Udunda where he was brought up and played all his football. His old coach is here, Sonny Murray, and and a lot of the locals here from the golf club and that he met through bingo and other things. So it just shows that there's so many people here to see the one man, and just, what a great man he was. And it's just a sad day that he's gone. And I know we always remember him and always cherish him. He had a lovely family life. Sue, the love of his life, his two girls, Amy and Fiona, and the kids. He loved his grandkids, would do anything for them. He was just a great family man, and just a great man. R.I.P. Geoffrey SCHRAPEL.
Thank you, Peter. I'd like to invite Grant Donovan, the President of the Golf Club, to please come forward and share some memories.
Geoff SCHRAPEL moved to Wallaroo 4.5 years ago into a new home he and Susan built in Wallaroo Heights after retiring from workforce at the Wavell Showground. And in that time, he has left a legacy at the Wallaroo Golf Club. Geoff, as you have heard, grew up in Udunda in the Barossa and went to school with two good mates, Lou Schultz and Never Schutz, and also played football and sport there. Throughout his working life, he remained good friends with Lou and Nev, both there. Both Nev and Lou bought properties in Wallaroo with the intention of retiring here, which they did. And so Geoff and Susan decided they would buy a block in Wallaroo Heights and build and retire with them in that area, and they did. Geoff, Lou and Nev were looking forward to their renewed time together, again fishing and visiting Lou's farm, etc. Unfortunately, Lou Schultz died suddenly nearly 4 years ago, and Nev has kept working with his family at Udunda. Toby, Barry Price, also knew their plans had sadly been changed with Lou's passing, and because of Toby's friendship with Geoff SCHRAPEL, suggested to him 4.5 years ago that with Geoff's expertise with his job at the Wavell Showgrounds, he may like to come up to the golf course and volunteer and have a good look at the golf club watering system. As the golf club was in the late throes of changing their black slags and sand greens over to green turf putting areas. When Geoff SCHRAPEL joined the volunteer course committee group at the Wallaroo Golf Club, his expertise in irrigation sprinklers and water volume proved to be outstanding, as did his recommendation to become more professional with the volunteer course group. He recommended starting toolbox meetings every Monday morning at 8 a.m. and discuss with approximately the 20-odd men who have volunteered their time on the course 3 mornings a week. The program of work for the week and allocation the various jobs needing to be done. These meetings are minuted by Bob Cox and sent to all committee members. The process has worked magnificently and is now an expected part of their work program every Monday morning at 8 a.m. In 2022, when Geoff joined the course committee, the golf committee were working through the Bruce McPhee AGSAC Tech's recommendations on converting their black slag sand scrapes to putting turf surfaces, and a priority of Bruce McPhee's recommendations for the process was headed irrigation, which stated prior to any works commencing, an irrigation audit should be conducted on all green sites, which included the following words: to ensure your system is delivering water adequately to each green, a distribution uniformity check should be conducted. The Golf Committee were well aware of the words in the report which stated greens replacements should not be commenced until adequate water of even distribution is available. The tech, Bruce McPhee, also stated to ensure your system is delivering water adequately to each green, a distribution uniformity check should be conducted, and he set out the method to be conducted. The whole purpose of changing the Wallaroo black slag sand scrapes to green turf putting surfaces hinged on the Wallaroo Golf Club receiving enough grey water from the Copper Coast Council to ensure their future survival. With Geoff's expertise, he followed the irrigation uniformity test instructions to the letter and set up the instructed test on number 18 putting sand scrape for the members of the Golf Committee to observe, which involved step 1 and step 2 in the recommending process. And Geoff proved to the observing committee members that we indeed had enough water for the process to be successful. And the process was able to begin with confidence. It's history now that Geoff was there throughout the process of changing our black slag and sand scrapes to turf greens, and with Viswater upgrading our irrigation system to the latest technology, Geoff was invaluable in learning the process and instigating the system. Once he became part of the establishment, Geoff could see major works that needed to be done. Geoff installed new surround pop-up sprinklers to replace the old fixed surround sprinklers, which were continually being hit by the mowers, the guys in yellow vis. Geoff could not believe the ancient machinery, often held together with clever wire creations, which the course committee were expected to mow the course with, and in 2023, with the improved finances available, the club could purchase new mowing machinery and a snake mower and new John Deere tractor, with the beginnings of the now excellent machinery used for the maintenance of the whole golf course. Geoff also did all the hand spraying for weeds around the greens, including the surround mounds and the tee boxes and putting areas, and was meticulous in doing so. Geoff was an established member of the Wallaroo Course Committee and a good friend to all of them, and had started to play golf. Not very well, but and enjoy going out for a hit with his fellow workers. Most of Geoff's course committee workers are here today to form a guard of honour in their high-vis shirts in respect of Geoff SCHRAPEL's commitment to the Wallaroo Golf Course, and will miss his expertise, his work ethics, his personality and his valued friendship. Rest in peace, Geoff SCHRAPEL, and the 40 trees you have helped plant the day before you passed away will stand and grow in the respect of you for many years to come. These words were written by Yvonne Price on behalf of all the Wallaroo Golf Club members and volunteers, for which we are indeed indebted to. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm going to read some more stories and reflections for you on behalf of Jeff Schultz. My name is Jeff, otherwise known as Legs, and I've had the privilege of calling Geoffrey my mate for over 50 years. Unfortunately, I cannot read this myself today, so thank you to Sheridan, who has kindly offered to read it on my behalf. I've been trying to work out where to start, but after more than 50 years of friendship, there are so many stories to tell. I realise it isn't one big moment that comes to mind. It's hundreds of little ones. The laughs, the trips away, the footy, the fishing, and the conversations. We first became mates in our 20s, and from then on, we spent a lot of life together. Back in those days, a trip to the footy was an all-day event. We'd meet at the Southwark Hotel around lunchtime for a few beers, head to the West Theby Hotel for a few more beers, then over to Theby Oval to stand on the mound for a few more beers. When then we would end up back at the club rooms for a few beers, before going home to get changed and head back out again for a few more beers. It sounds like all we ever did was drink beer, but I promise we did watch some of the footy too. As the years went by, things changed a bit. Theberton became Woodville Oval, sitting in the grandstands with a pasty and a beer. Then it became Adelaide Oval, where Geoffrey swapped the beers for a coffee and a cake. And in the last few years, Geoffrey loved nothing more than watching the grandkids play footy on Sundays. I suppose that's what getting older looks like. Geoffrey was also my travelling mate. For about 30 years, we'd head off to Broken Hill with the boys, and later Swan Hill and Mildura. There's plenty I could tell you about those trips, but I don't think today is the day for some of those stories. One story I can tell you is about an old taxi rule. And this is confirmation for already what we've heard. If there were 4 of us in the taxi, whoever got stuck in the middle of the back seat had to be the one to get out last and pay. One night, Geoffrey and Peter both decided that they weren't going to pay. As they raced for the front seat of the taxi, Geoffrey gave Peter a hip and shoulder, and Peter went flying into the side of the taxi and left a nice dent in it. I honestly can't remember who paid the taxi or who got the front seat. We also spent a lot of time up at Tilpa in New South Wales, where we became good friends with the Williams family. On one trip, we caught a 4-foot goanna in one of the fox traps. Peter thought it'd be funny to put it on Geoffrey's back while Geoffrey was resetting the trap. As soon as the claws touched Geoffrey's brand new tracksuit top that Sue had given him for Christmas, he dug his claws in. Geoffrey very calmly asked Peter if he would mind taking it off. Peter said, "It's stuck, Geoffrey." Geoffrey replied, "I know." That was followed by plenty of yelling, a bit of colourful language, before Peter finally got it off. The tracksuit didn't survive, but I reckon the goanna came out of it better than either of them. Fishing and crabbing were another big part of our friendship. We were always arguing about who caught the biggest fish, who caught the most, and whether catfish and cod should even count. One day we were arguing because our numbers didn't add up. Eventually, we found a big hole in the keeper net, and every fish we proudly put in it was quietly swimming straight back out again. After a few laughs, we were right back to arguing whose fault it was. Geoffrey and I decided it was Peter's. Some of my favourite memories are sitting around a bonfire by the river with Geoffrey, with a whiskey or a wine, solving all the world's problems. Whether we ever solved any of them is hard to say. But there was one thing we always agreed on. Nothing mattered more than family. Geoffrey spoke constantly of Sue, Fiona, Amy and the grandkids. He was so proud of them all. And he often said he couldn't have asked for two better son-in-laws in David and Jason. His family was everything to him, and you could hear it in every time he spoke about them. To Sue, Fiona and Amy, thank you for sharing Geoffrey with all of us over so many years. He was a wonderful mate to me, but I know he was even a better husband, father and grandfather and family man. If I had to describe Geoffrey, I'd say he was loyal, generous and quite funny. He was always helping someone, whether it was volunteering at the golf course, lending a hand to a neighbour, helping out a mate or working in his garden. He was never one to sit back if someone needed a hand. He'd just started enjoying his caravanning and was talking about using it more and heading over to Western Australia with the family. We were all meant to be heading off to South Africa together next month. Geoffrey was always the organiser. He knew where we were staying, where we had to be and what we were doing next. He was really looking forward to those trips, but it won't be the same without him. One thing's for certain, Geoffrey won't ever be forgotten. For over 50 years he was part of my life. We shared a lot of laughs, a lot of trips, a lot of fishing, a lot of footy, and more than a few beers along the way. It's going to be strange not having him around. Geoffrey, thanks for being such a good mate. Every time we're sitting around a bonfire with a whiskey or a beer, solving the world's problems, we'll raise a glass and remember the good times we had together. We will miss you, Geoffrey. We're going to continue celebrating Geoffrey's life in a collection of photos and music.
Someone told me long ago, there's a calm before the storm. I know it's been coming for some time. just let you walk away, just let you leave without a trace. When I stand here taking every breath with you, ooh, you're the only one who really knew me at all. How can you just walk away from me when all I can do is watch you leave? 'Cause we shared the laughter and the pain, and even shared the tears. You're the only one who really knew me at all. So take a look at me now. There's just an empty space, and there's nothing left here to remind me, just the memory of your face. Oh, take a look at me now. There's just an empty space, and you coming back to me is against the odds, and that's what I've got to face. I wish I could just make you turn around and see me cry. There's so much I need to say to you, so many reasons why. You're the only one who really knew me at all. So take a look at me now. Well, there's just an empty space, and there's nothing left here to remind me, just a memory of your face. Now take a look at me now. 'Cause there's just an empty space, but to wait for you is all I can do, and that's what I've got to face. Take a good look at me now, 'cause I'll still be standing here, and you coming back to me is against all odds. It's the chance I've got to take. Take a look at me now.
Loving can hurt. Loving can hurt sometimes, but it's the only thing that I know. When it gets hard, you know it can get hard sometimes. It is the only thing that makes us feel alive. We keep this love in a photograph. We made these memories for ourselves, where our eyes are never closing, our hearts are never broken, and time's forever frozen still. So you can keep me inside the pocket of your ripped jeans, holding me closer till our eyes meet. You won't ever be alone. Wait for me to come home. Loving can heal. Loving can mend your soul, and it's the only thing that I know. I swear us when we die. Keep this love in its photograph. We made these memories for ourselves, where our eyes are never closing, hearts were never broken, time's forever frozen still. So you can keep me inside the pocket of your ripped jeans, holding me closer till our eyes meet. You won't ever be alone. And if you hurt me, that's okay, baby. Only words bleed inside these pages. You just hold me. I won't ever let you go. Wait for me to come home. 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 Oh, you can fit me inside the necklace you got when you were 16, next to your heartbeat where I should be. Keep it deep within your soul. And if you hurt me, well, that's okay, baby. Only words bleed inside these pages. You just hold me. I won't ever let you go. When I'm away, I will remember how you kissed me under the lamppost back on 6th Street, hearing you whisper through the phone. Wait for me to come home.
Family and friends, we now come to the part of this service where we start to say our final goodbyes to Geoff, and we commit his mortal body for cremation. As we say farewell, we remember his bright spirit, his cheeky smile, and the joy that he has brought into your lives. Though his physical presence is gone, his love and laughter will echo in your hearts forever. We know that his spirit will live on in the memories that you all cherish. Could you please stand if able? We come into this world with nothing, and we leave with nothing. We leave behind memories and a legacy with our family and our friends. We honour Geoff's life and the love he has brought into your lives, and we give thanks for all the good that he has done. Geoff's physical presence is no longer here, but his spiritual presence will always be with you. I hereby entrust his soul for eternal keep, and I lovingly, tenderly and reverently commit his earthly body to be cremated, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Geoff, you are no longer here, bound by this world, but you are a part of it. No longer tied to one place or one time, but free. You are loved dearly, and you are in our hearts and minds. And we will carry you with us as we move forward with our lives. Life will never be the same, but we will live it to the fullest as you did. You leave us with strength and kindness to do what is good and right, and your spirit will guide us, just as you did when you were here by our sides. For this we say thank you, and with love we say goodbye. Please be seated. I would like to hand over to Robert from Skinner's Family Funerals for our final instructions today.
Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the funeral service today for Geoffrey. On behalf of his immediate family, I'd like to thank you all for your attendance. It's been greatly appreciated. In a moment, I'll be asking the pallbearers to come forward, where we'll take Geoffrey out to the awaiting hearse, where you'll have your opportunity to place a tribute. I'll also be asking the Guard of Honour if you could start to make your way outside and form up outside the door. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're able, could you please stand? And can I have the pallbearers come forward? Thank you.
I love you. Just be strong for your girls, alright? Be strong for your girls.
Nana